Hi, this is David with the Discount Dragon again, and we are back talking about molds, but only kind of peripherally. I noticed that there was one of the issues with molds that I find very important, but that it only kind of skated past in the explanation of how to make molds. Of course, you can look down here, and you can see the reason for using molds. Instead of making these from scratch each time, I can press mold them and make multiple copies. Very convenient. But one of the things that molds are great for that may not be obvious is it helps you get past kind of like the artist version of writer's block. Not being able to come up with any ideas, but stalling out at a point in the creative process. So take this guy for example. This is a little Cthulhu guy I'm working on. And I got to a certain point where it's like looking pretty good. I like the general shape of it. But I can sometimes get to this sort of point and say to myself, yeah, it's looking good. It's clearly not done. But do I really want to work on it? Because I might mess it up. And the solution is either just let it sit around until it percolates and eventually you get back to it, or you make a mold, make a copy, and then you can work on one and not worry about messing up your original. So I made a copy. This is my save point, like in a video game, and this is the one I'm working on. So I went in here and added some teeth. And I misplaced it, but I'm also working on some other pieces to go with this. Another reason to use a mold to create a duplicate is so you can do a different version of it. This here is one of my items that is pretty popular. This is a dragon's claw, or sometimes I'll relabel it as a velociraptor talon, or just whatever it takes to have fun with it. But if you look, it's essentially a claw that's been broken. And I decided that I wanted to go further with it. But I didn't go back and revise my original, because if you mess it up, you lose your original. So I made a mold, took a copy, and recarved it. This is the revised claw. The reason that I revised it, besides just getting a nice, clean version of this, and as you can tell, it's very refined, I wanted to extend the skeletal structure. So I made the next bone in the sequence. And as you can see, it's relatively posable. The bones work together. And when I'm framing this, I'll be able to take it and frame it like this or frame it like that. And since the bones are going to be separate and movable, I'm going to be able to pose them in different fashions. So a nice project that keeps on coming along even after the original project is finished. But once again, I do recommend, if you get to a sticking point where you like the progress you're making, but you're worried you might mess up your piece of art you're working on, don't let that stop you. Go in there, make a copy, and experiment with the copy, even if you don't want to make 20 copies. Even if you're just making the one, give yourself something to play with. You can do 3 different versions and see which turns out the best, and that way you don't have to worry about messing up your original. So don't get stalled out on your art projects. This is an option to move forward in kind of a creative and fun way, and who knows, maybe you'll come up with 2 or 3 different versions of your artwork and you like all of them, and that's a winning proposition. So this is just a few thoughts about molds and how useful they can be in the creative process, and I will see you next time.